Welcome to Quick Tips Resumes. In this presentation, I'll discuss how to build a resume, we'll review a sample, and then I'll give you some more information on how to tailor your resume for the jobs you're applying for. So we are going to take a look at a sample in just a minute here, but I do want to start off with a few helpful reminders. First, you want to remember that this is your resume. It should be indicative of your skills and your experiences. You also want to make sure it's tailored for the jobs and the industry that you're applying to. So keep in mind that this means your resume may look different from your friends, and that's okay. As long as you've tailored it for your industry, you are putting your best foot forward and making sure that all of your experiences are highlighted well. Second, keep in mind that your resume is a highlight reel. So, a high level overview of your experiences and what makes you a good fit for a position. That means that you do not need to list every single thing that you've ever done, just what's most recent and what is most relevant to the job. And lastly, do remember that this is your ticket to the interview. So you want to be thinking about what makes you stand out as a candidate and what's really going to give you that edge over other folks who are applying. So we'll go ahead and take a look at one of our samples here. We do have this one available in addition to 6 others on our website. You'll see that some of those samples are geared towards specific majors, but that is in content only. So you are welcome to take this and tailor it in whatever way makes sense for the jobs that you're applying for, and I will talk about that a little bit later. But first, let's take a look at this one. We'll just start up at the top here. So you can see you're starting off with contact information. I do want to point out that the Otterbein email address is listed here. I will go ahead and list your Otterbein address. It's just a good indication that you are, in fact, an Otterbein student. Once you graduate, you can go ahead and adjust that to be your personal email as long as it's still professional. So, as long as you're a student, you are going to start off with education. Remember that on your resume, you want to work from most relevant information kind of all the way down. So, education is what is most relevant about you right now. You just have some key piece of information there, including where you go to school, location, your actual degree, your GPA. If it's a 3.0 or above, go ahead and list that as well. And of course, when you're graduating. So that date there is a good indication as far as the type of position that you're looking for. So if it says May 2020, then employer knows that, okay, you're looking for a full-time role versus any time after that, probably some sort of internship. So kind of looking down here, the next section is a skill highlights section. You don't really need to have a separate skill section if you don't want to. If you want to use that space for something else, you're welcome to do so. But if you choose to have a separate skill section, you want to make sure those skills are tailored to the positions that you're applying for. So you really should be taking a look at the skills that they're asking for in the job description, and that's what you want to list here if you feel like you do in fact have those skills. So the next section on this one is related experience. So related meaning that the person gained some skills in these experiences that are related to the jobs that they're applying for. So if you look at the dates here, you can see that they're starting off with present and then kind of working their way down. We don't have those dates filled in actually, but you do want to make sure that you're listing your most recent experiences first and then working your way to the oldest. Now, I do want to point out here these bulleted descriptions. So I like to call that kind of the bread and butter of your resume. That's where you're talking about what you did, who you worked with, and how you were able to impact organizations. So the formula that you want to list is on the left-hand side here. So you're just starting off with an action verb, including a task, and then you want to end off with some sort of outcome, result, or a population that you served or worked with. So I am going to use the example underlined here. So worked with 50 students and 11 staff counselors to coordinate the end of summer talent show. You can see there that they're using worked or worked with as their action verb. They've also included what they did. So their task is to coordinate the end of summer talent show. And then they included a population for this one. So 50 students and 11 staff counselors. So you can see it's a little out of order than the formula listed to your left there, but all the information is still included. So this is what you want to do when you are expanding on your experiences. You really want to think about, okay, what skills can I work in? So here they are working in that they collaborated with these different groups of people. So collaboration, teamwork, that's always a great skill to highlight. So you want to think about skills that you gained, of course, your actual task, and then how you were really able to influence the organization you were working with. This, I like to use this action statement as an example because it can easily be kind of shifted in order to focus on a different skill. So, as written, they are showcasing that they know how to collaborate with a group. But if you adjust this to say, coordinate the end of summer talent show with 50 students and 11 staff counselors, then that highlights a different skill, and that is coordination of an event, program planning. So that is how you can adjust the different statements or how you're talking about your experiences in order to highlight skills that are relevant for the jobs you're applying to. So skipping down here, I'm going to skip over honors and activities for now, but just to point out that at the bottom here, they do have additional work experience. So this resume is divided into related and then also additional work experience. So as I said, related, meaning that they gain skills that relate to jobs they're applying for. And then they still have this, what is probably, a part-time job. You want to still make sure you're listing that information on your resume because it does tell different things about you to the employer. So you have great time management skills, you're able to maintain that part-time job, also do an internship, have some other involvement, and you still have, that 3.5, that 3.8 GPA. So having that additional work experience does showcase some other skills, some other qualities about you to the employer. So go ahead and still list those. So moving back up here to honors and activities, I just want to highlight that there are different ways for you to talk about your involvement. So you can see this person here has a lot of involvement listed, and they've chosen to expand on 2 different of those experiences. So you want to get creative with how you're talking about your honors and activities, your campus involvement, your leadership roles. There is a way for you to highlight and make sure everything is tailored based on what might make you a good fit for the jobs that you're applying for. So that is the Casey Cardinal sample resume. Again, that can be found on our website. I will have our website up on the last slide, so you're welcome to take a look at this one and the other ones listed there. So you want to be thinking about your experiences. I talked earlier about making sure your resume is tailored based on the jobs that you're applying for, but keep in mind what your experiences are. So again, it's your resume. If there are things that you've done and you're just not quite sure where that might fit in your resume, feel free to reach out to us, make an appointment. We can certainly help you figure out where that may be. But whatever is going to make you stand out to an employer, whether it be professional development, presentations that you've given, job shadows that you've done, service that you've been a part of, just be thinking about what makes me a good fit, what makes me stand out, and what has really made my Otterbein experience special. So to talk a little bit more about tailoring, make sure you're focused on results. Again, so the goal of your resume is to show impact, show how you have influenced organizations that you've worked with, how you've influenced people that you've worked with. So again, I have that formula up there, that action verb plus the task plus the result. So you want to use that to really demonstrate how you've impacted organizations that you've worked with, and then also how you're going to be able to assist or influence the organization that you're applying to. You do want to keep those statements short and choppy. So you do not want to include full length sentences. Go ahead and leave out the first person, the second person, just start off with that action verb. So instead of saying, I worked with students to raise $500 for the Promise House, just go ahead and say worked with or collaborated with. Quantify what you've accomplished and who you have worked with. So again, if you raised $10,000 with 5 of your sorority sisters for a nationwide children's hospital, go ahead and say that. You want to show the employer how you were able to enact change where you were. Talked about this, list relevant experience at the top. That relevant experience should be based on what is in the job description. So see what you're going to be doing. If you're going to be creating a budget, if you're going to be working with a team of people on, several projects, figure out what your relevant experience is. And keep in mind that does not have to be paid positions. So if you were the treasurer for your, one of your student organizations, and you're also going to be dealing with money in a job that you're applying for, well, that makes that position relevant. So it does not need to be a paid position. It could be a student leadership role that you had. It could be a part-time job. It could be an internship. It could be a service role. Whatever it is, as long as it's related to the job that you're applying for, you can go ahead and include it in a relevant experience section. Incorporate keywords from the job description as well. I always encourage students to really pull that language straight from the job description. There are some companies that use software to kind of go through resumes, and what they're looking for is the language that's used in their job description. So go ahead and incorporate that as best as possible. And then lastly, make sure it's easy to read. Spell check, that's an easy one, just a button to click. But your goal is to create a clean, easy to read document, because if they can't read it, they're not going to. So just want to end off with a few notes about format. You do want to keep your resume at one page. There are always exceptions to the rule, but by and large, as an undergraduate student, you really should be able to keep your resume at one page. That also does say something about your ability to communicate effectively, and you should be able to talk about your experiences concisely while also capturing the most important pieces. Using 11 to 12 point font, you just want it to be readable. So there are some fonts that are naturally larger than others, of course. So as long as you're picking something professional and it's easy to read, you should be okay. And then remember to maintain consistency throughout. So spacing, font, bullet points, these are a lot of things that oftentimes get missed, but if there are a lot of inconsistencies, that's what creates a difficult to read document or something that doesn't quite look right. So again, keep in mind that your goal is to create an easy to read, clean document. And that concludes the Quick Tips Resumes video. If you have feedback on this video, feel free to send that to career@ottermine.edu. These videos are for you, so we just want to make sure they are helpful and that they're including all the information that is needed. Also, if you want to have us take a look at your resume, we are happy to do that. We can meet with you, or we can just take a look at that and give you some feedback in writing. So if you're interested in any of those services, again, go ahead and reach out to career@ottermine.edu and we will be in touch.